Hey everyone, this is Justin Byers from JB Byers Woodworking. Welcome to the channel. Today we're doing a 113-inch long tool cabinet that is 22 inches deep. The design was from Rob Cosman, and his tool cabinet had an open concept design, and that really, out of all the tool cabinets that I've looked at, that one really stood out and worked for my preference and what I was looking for. So this is actually my second tool cabinet I'm making. I did a prototype, just a small 7-foot one with some of the materials that I had on hand, and worked with it for a couple of years and got all the kinks worked out and what I wanted to change. And the only thing I really changed was the size and the center section. I divided into two smaller drawer sections. I'm cutting all the side panels for the top and bottom now. The actual design of it really started at 8 foot, and then I had this 10-foot laminate, or this particle board that has a wood grain veneer on it. I had these 10-foot sheets, and I thought I would just go ahead and go big or go home. So I did that to fit my shop, and here I have everything cut. My dados run, so makes assembling much easier. And you'll see that here I've actually routed out a groove in the front of both the top and the bottom cabinet to accept LED lights. So I'm really putting all the bells and whistles in on this one. So I didn't skimp on anything. I have a lot of things. And if you look behind on the sawhorses, that's what I've been working with for 4 months now, since I sold my other tool cabinet to John from Character Red, good buddy of mine. If you haven't checked him out yet, head over and check out his channel. And here I'm just drilling the holes. Everybody knows how particle board is, so I pre-drilled all my holes and countersunk everything, so be a nice clean finish and a good secure bond. And actually, this one section here coming up on the panels that I'm putting in, I actually messed up on this section right here. And this is where I realized that I glued this section in. I did not mean to, because this is where my vertical drawer slides are going to be. And I don't know if anybody talks to themselves in the shop, but I do. And I did not mean to glue this in, because I wanted to be able to take it out to install the vertical drawer slides, because there's only about 4.5 inches to in between those two sections, so you really can't get a screwdriver in there. So I left those sections not glued and screwed in, so that I can remove them later on when I go to install the drawer slides. And I'm not a big fan of drawer slides. I just don't have the knowledge really to be the one to go to for installing them. But I've only done them a few times, and they usually tend to give me a little bit of trouble. But this one went rather smoothly. And here I've got the top going on the bottom section of the tool cabinet, and getting everything, lined up and pre-drilled and fastened together. But this is probably the third largest build that I've actually done, maybe the fourth. I've done a few large projects, but this one really was a big taking. But it really didn't take me as long as I thought, because the process that I had already planned everything, and working with my old cabinet, deciding what changes I was going to do when I did this one, and my final rendering, and everything kind of went together a lot smoothly. And here I I don't know if anybody uses hand planes much, but I have this number 7 that's the blade's full width. It's a rabbiting plane, and if you really need to get into a good tight corner and get something trimmed, I highly recommend getting a full blade hand plane. They come in really handy when you need them. And of course, this is the top part, and I did the same thing on the top part as I did on the bottom when I got in a groove, and I glued in that vertical section for the horizontal or the vertical drawer slides, and I glued the section in that I did not mean to glue in there. So I had to pull it back out, let the glue dry, sand it down, and then install it later on. But yeah, this one's really, I was surprised at how smoothly this one, when you really think everything out and get your process together and all your ducks in a row, so to speak, at how fast. I believe I started on this one, and it took me about 2.5 weeks maybe. And I did spend some late nights in the shop, when I was on a roll and really in a groove. I didn't want to stop and mess up, and try to get back into the groove tomorrow. So I just kept going with it. But here it really starts to take shape. You can really see the size and exactly how big this tool cabinet is. I'm 6'4", 300 plus pounds, 320, and this tool cabinet is taller than I am. It stands at 77 inches tall, a little over 77. And it's not as bad now, but when I start really adding some things inside there and some of the structure for the cross sections and everything, it starts to really get some weight to it. And I have my cousin come down and help me move it a few times. He lives pretty close. And all this stuff is scrap pieces. And if you notice, this center section is not exactly the full width. You'll see later on why. I squared everything to the top of it and left the bottom open, because I will have some wires, some electrical running for the wireless cell phone charger, as well as the pencil sharpener that I'll have sitting there. So I worked everything out to where the material I had on hand, I didn't have to, I could have ripped another piece and, used a whole nother sheet to get everything closed in, but you're not going to see that section back there. And it leaves a good opening for me to be able to get the cords and stuff through. And here I'm working on developing the center section of the tool cabinet, the little display where I'll have some of my tools and rulers and stuff, straight edges. But I just didn't want to. The design of this one really is to maximize space as well as not being so cluttered. You tend to have space and you think that, well, I'll just set this in here for right now, and it ends up staying in that drawer or sitting on that shelf or whatever, and you end up with a cluttered drawer or tool cabinet. And the thing that I like about this one is everything's separated and really, maximizes the space. And here I am lifting this monster up on the bench. I did capture this one. I had trouble with my camera not recording for some reason, and I lost some of the footage. But this is I added some runners on the bottom as well to help stiffen it up, and moving this thing around in this cluttered shop. And it's not a small shop. The shop is 30 by 50, but I've just got so much stuff piled in here, it's not even funny. So I'm gonna have to really buckle down and get a lot of this stuff that I don't use out of the way as well. But now I'm moving on to, and I thought I would show this installing these drawer slides. This is how I do it. I know there's better ways, and that's why I was saying, from the beginning that I'm not the one to go to that, installs drawer slides, because I don't do it enough or do it often. And but I thought I would show this clip where I'm installing these. Also, the bottom two on the larger drawers are soft close, and I just had those extra on hand. So, and here you can see why I didn't glue those sections in, because once I have the drawer slides installed, I can pull those out and install the inner vertical drawer slides for those sections, because I could have drilled holes to get through, but it just made more sense to be able to pull those sections out. And in all, this has, I think, 34 drawers in all, and now I have to dig the material out to make my drawer boxes, and cut all that up to make all my drawer boxes. And it has 34 drawers and 58 small drawers. And here I have everything cut, and my dados ran for my drawer bottoms, so I can get those assembled and get them into place. So it's starting to really take shape and come together here. And I actually had one, it was the right side, actually gave me a little trouble, but for the most part, everything went together smoother than I thought. I just took my time and made everything count best I could. So, and I'm facing this with ambrosia maple, and the whole entire project was supposed to be all maple and some walnut accents, but I ended up using the particle board for the tops and the bottoms, so that's kind of skewered all that. And here's my verticals that I have on the top section installed. But all in all, at the end, there will be 7 different species of maple in this tool cabinet. And here I'm working on the little cubby holes, I guess you call it. They're just going to be small pull-out drawers for knickknacks and overflow and loose screws and things like that, watch parts and clock things. And I'm cutting the relief, the half labs for all these, and I have them assembled here. And the plan is to do the outside section of this insert, and then slide this down into the section that's going to go on the bottom of the top part of the tool cabinet. And once I have that hole, I can slide the whole thing into place like I've done here. So I just did them all in one section, and then slid those whole entire sections in. And here I have my verticals that I faced with spalted maple. All my verticals will have spalted maple. My horizontal will be ambrosia maple. I have some maple ply in there, some red maple from Connecticut, quilted maple, and birdseye maple, and maple burl that will be incorporated in this. And these are all my 58 drawers for the small section. So I'm gluing all those up, and still have a ton left, but I get them knocked out. And I have my walnut trim that will I'll face this sections with. I think it'll be a nice accent between the quilted maple. And cut my quilted maple veneer as well that I'll use to face the cabinet with, so you don't see the plywood core and things like that. So here I have the quilted maple on. You kind of gluing it in so you can kind of see what it's going to look like. And went ahead and installed the rest of the verticals on the top section here, these large pull outs. And those were angles, 45-degree angle drawer pull is a little tricky to work with, but I managed to come up with a solution and push through it. And this is for my lay tools. This is the bottom part that will accept those. And this is that center section I was working on. This is that red maple that's from Connecticut that I got from a buddy of mine, Buzz. Super good guy. He sent me a few pieces, and I incorporated that into this build. So I have the things that I use more on hand, and they display well, but that way everything's nice and neat and symmetrical for the most part. And this section here, yeah. So it'll make sense once everything comes together. In that bottom section, I ended up, instead of having that wasted space in the bottom section, I put a drawer in there. And here's one of my verticals. I have my screwdrivers laid out, so this will be how they'll be displayed once I get the pieces cut to have all those in there and on hand. And the wireless phone charger and some of my small little trim planes and stuff. And this is my files. I have went ahead and got those in. So that kind of gives you a perspective of how it'll work. Here's a little closer view of everything. And this cobalt, I actually didn't know that it had this little magnet attachment inside for a different angle, but I just took an old bit and drove it into that piece there and used it to hang it. So little bits I have extra. It comes with the set, and it's all my file stuff. So it definitely helps you get organized, and that was one of the biggest things of why I did this. I chose this tool cabinet style and design. It worked better for me. And this is the strip that will hold the lay tools. I'm putting the magnets in for the back. And there's my chisel rack with that maple burl that I used. And this, to kind of utilize space, I have a piece of walnut trim there, but I have a little lock latch there in the back. And this section will flip up and give me access to my lay tools that I'll have stored behind there. So kind of tricky doing one-handed, but it was same design that Rob Cosman had, and it really utilizes that space to its full potential and using every little bit. And you know how particle board is, so I drilled through and put bolt nuts through there because those chisels are kind of heavy, and I didn't want screws to pull that out and it being a moving part. And the first vertical section of the top of the tool cabinet here is just for mallet and hammers. I have a rubber mallet that I use some, and all my hammers. So, and I ended up adding a marking gauge, I believe, in between two of the hammers, but that's all that's in here is just hammers. That's what I like about this tool cabinet design, is how it separates everything for a specific tool, and really kind of keeps everything neat. And here I have my hand planes that I've got laid out. One of them was actually one of my cousins' relative passed away several years ago. That old plane, I decided to go ahead and display it in with the rest of my hand planes. I do use these, not as often as I would like. Some of the projects I have deadlines on and stuff like that, but I have a variety of different hand planes for all the projects. So, and here I'm ripping my walnut down that will will go in between the hand planes. And with the maple, I didn't use a whole lot of walnut, but I used it where I thought it was needed and would really accent and showcase the whole tool cabinet and together. So here I'm cutting those strips up and getting them cut to length. And I have a little block plane that I'll put a little hand plane. I'll put a chamfer on each of the pieces. And I know a lot of people use a router, but to me, I think it's just as quick to just hit the corners with this small trim plane that I have, and getting everything knocked down. So here I have everything installed and together, and I've cut these grooves to accept the handles on these smaller planes to keep them in place. And I'm happy with how this turned out so far. And here I have it installed, and I went ahead and did spalted maple on this back panel as well. It's actually 3 pieces, but with everything going on, it went together nicely. And here I have my bottoms. I ended up having to glue those together. The bottom 1 3/8 I had to add so to make up the difference. And here it is with all the drawer fronts of the ambrosia maple and quilted maple and trim and everything's in. And here's some birdseye maple that I'm going to add later on for the nameplate on the front section there. And everything's buttoned up here. These are all the same pieces. And I'm going to actually stain it using this natural stain. I did it on some sample pieces, and I was really thrilled with how it came out. I usually use oil, but for this build, I'm going with this Minwax natural stain to do all my drawer covers and panels and stuff. So this will show you exactly how big of a difference this stain. I really like this stain. It highlights all the spots that's needed, and once it soaks in and you lightly buff it out, it really gives a good tone to the color and does it a really nice finish. And I know what you're thinking, and I know I did not take all those handles off to stain these drawer fronts. I just stained around them. I said I was really eager to get this finished up, and I'm so close to the finish line that I just decided to go around them. And here I'm cutting the quilted maple drawer fronts for all the small section, the 58 or 56 drawers that I have for the small cubbies. And these sections here, I have them all laid out to where they'll go. And I continued the grain, so when I rip these, that whole length, it's a continuous grain pattern. And I have all my banners from a lot of sponsors and supporters that I have, products behind me there. And I'm taking all the drawers out, and this is moving day. This is where my cousin comes down and helps me get this thing set into place. And I didn't get the bottom one film, but we did get the top one film, so it'll kind of give you an idea of the same principle. But I have these little casters, dollies from Harbor Freight that we set this on and rolled it into position. Like I said, this is a 30 by 50 shop, and I think we could have carried this the whole 50 foot, but I think it made it a little easier to roll it over into position and get it lined up and set it into place that way. And like I said, you know, my cousin Cameron here, he's always got my back. He's a large guy as well as me, and you can see exactly how long 113 inches is. It's actually a little over 113, but this is a large tool cabinet, and I don't think that this one I will outgrow, but I may get everything filled in. Like I said, I still have a lot to finish up, but here you can see the lights going in and getting connected, and then I start putting in all the drawer slides, or the drawers themselves, verticals and stuff on the upper and lower section, and then we start putting in all the drawers on the bottom. And this is a section I was talking about that I did different. I made it into 2 sections to separate things a little more instead of having one large drawer. And I think it kind of helped keep everything a little neater. And I still have some places to develop stuff. This one still doesn't have anything in it, but for the most part, I've got everything that I use on hand right there. So we'll start putting things in the drawers and getting the bottom section. And here I'll show this center section, flip up one more time for the my chisel to where I can get to my lay tools. And this is a waste of space, and I ended up deciding to put a bar in. So I didn't know exactly what I wanted to use that space for, so I used it to put my bar in. And here it is, the close-up. The grain pattern is continuous on all the drawer fronts, so it's one smooth flowing grain pattern across the whole cabinet. Everything tied in really nicely. I'm happy with how everything turned out. And here I have everything, all my liquids that I use to stay hydrated, loaded in. I have this flask Dave Glass made me, burnt my laser engraved my logo on the front of the flask there. So that's what I ended up using that space for. And here I have applying a finish, and it's light here, but once it soaks in, it darkens up, but it darkens in a good sense. Like I said, I really like the tone that stain gave this cabinet. And if you found this video interesting, if you're still here this long in the video, if you get a chance to hit that subscribe button and notification bell for further builds, and I'll probably dive in. I'll make another video of exactly what I have in this price-wise. I think a lot of people get scared when they see something like this, and then you got bukus of money tied up into it. But actually, this one wasn't as bad, and I'm going to do a video of that later on. But I appreciate everybody, and keep making.